I'm in a box. I'm acting.
Hello, friends. I kind of like that awkward start. We'll just roll the intro. So like. So today we are doing an episode that I've actually really been looking forward to for quite a while now. But we thought it was only fitting since Jake sort of took the reign on the last one and taught me how to cook. I thought that this would be a fun time for me to teach someone how to do something that I somewhat know how to do. So as some of you know, I've been an actor for like 13 years now, which seems both like a massive amount of time, but also hasn't felt that long in the slightest. But in that process, I've played quite a few roles that are kind of different from one another. But today I thought it would be kind of fun if we threw. I have 3 monologues here, but if we threw one of these monologues at Jake and sort of, talked him through the process, coached him through the process, and see, the progression from just like a cold read to a final address.
Yeah. In my experience, acting is nothing. I've done a lot of things that are compositional. I like to say that word a lot. I've composed a lot, and I've composed thought a lot. And I was even thinking this morning on my way over, I realized that I took a playwriting class once in college.
Oh.
That was really, really good. And I actually did some table reads for that. But table reads aren't the same thing,
I think there's an art to the cold read. I think any actor will echo this, but it's like a cold read is possibly one of the most difficult things that you have to go through as an actor, because like especially if you're going into an audition room for like a professional job, sometimes you don't have the time to go over a piece of paper, a monologue, a scene more than once. Maybe you're asked to go out in the hallway to sort of prepare it in your head a little bit, and then you jump into things, and that's what you're being judged on. That's what defines whether you get the job or you don't. So it's kind of a difficult thing here, but I thought it'd be sort of interesting to bring someone into the fold that has been loosely in the world, but definitely not fully in the world.
Yeah.
Cool. So, jumping into these 3 monologues, I don't really know how we're going to do this, but I thought I'd basically explain the monologues a little bit, and then from there, I'll let you pick.
That sounds good.
I'll let you decide.
But I don't know what they are yet, so...
So 2 are Shakespearean, and 1 is somewhat contemporary.
And they're all things you've done.
Yes, they're all shows that I've been in.
Right.
And characters that I've played. So the 2 are from Romeo and Juliet, and I know Romeo and Juliet seems like a bore, but that's why we're here to sort of breathe a breath of fresh air into things. Yeah, it's English. So the 2 monologues that I have here, one is the iconic "But soft would light through yonder window break" scene.
That's fun.
And that's the most overly acted out scene in pretty much all of theater.
Yeah.
But it's I feel like that kind of poses a challenge to do something new with it.
Yeah. But not too new.
Exactly.
You don't want to Romeo plus Juliet it or anything.
Now, the second monologue is Romeo after he's found out that he's banished from the town, from life. He's just killed. Do you know Romeo and Juliet?
Not
loosely?
really.
So, Romeo kills Tybalt, and Tybalt is a Capulet. Juliet's a Capulet.
Right.
I believe cousins. Yeah, they're cousins? They're cousins. I'm pretty sure they're cousins. But he just kills Tybalt in the town because Tybalt kills Mercutio, who is Romeo's friend. So that's sort of Romeo's revenge, a little bit. But basically,
13 or something,
murdering
each other. Yeah.
But also, Romeo's possibly 18. It's very confusing.
Yeah.
But why 18-year-olds are trying to smash 13-year-olds? in Shakespearean time is like very weird, so we're just gonna say that we're both legal. But
Wait, we're both? Are we playing Romeo and Juliet?
together. So yeah, no. Romeo is in this state of, fuck, I just killed a dude, but also I still love Juliet, but I killed her fucking family.
Mm.
So he goes to the Friar Lawrence, the Friar Lawrence, and basically, you know, he's in hiding a little bit. He doesn't know where to go. He doesn't know what to do, and he feels ashamed of his actions. But he also has this pent up anger inside of him. So that's this scene. So two are very different scenes. So that's the Shakespearean side of this, and then we have a monologue from what is basically the prequel to Peter Pan.
Right.
It's called Peter and the Starcatcher.
Yeah.
And at this point in the show, like Peter, who's just named Boy in the show because he doesn't have a name yet.
Interesting.
He's basically... This is the point where he starts to show his actual true colors in like leadership and in pain, and you know, I think this is sort of the turning point for that character that goes from, you know, sort of the downtrodden, you know, beat up kid to someone who's actually taking control for once in his life. And he's addressing Molly, who is basically like what oh god, what's her name in Peter Pan?
Wendy?
Basically, so Wendy is Molly's child.
Oh.
So Molly, who he's talking to right now, that is the mother of eventually Wendy Darling. So it's kind of like an interesting like subplot in
That's
a way
a cool take,
to sort of think about. But you know, those are the three monologues. They're both. I mean, all three of them have a lot going on.
Okay.
I'd say the But Soft monologue is very like it's very white bread right now in comparison to all these.
Yeah.
But you can breathe the fresh air. Breathe a fresh. I keep saying that. Breathe a breath of fresh air into it.
Yeah.
Or you can take the controls of something that's kind of wild in a way.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Oh man, options. Can I look at them?
No.
Oh no.
No.
Okay. All right. So
I'm letting you decide what you want, and then you're going to read it flat out.
Yeah. Okay. I really like contemporary theater, and there's something so interesting about doing that. I do a lot of contemporary work, and I move in contemporary circles.
Okay.
I move in contemporary dance. I move in shit like that.
Okay.
So the challenge of Shakespeare is speaking a language that isn't quite my own and internalizing
Correct.
lingo and verbiage that is literally not my tongue. So I think it has to be a Shakespeare. And I think that because when we actually talked about this before, and you weren't going to offer contemporary, and I was like, okay, doing a Shakespeare is going to be really hard. Like, I'm going to have some trouble.
Good. So we're gonna take out
Yeah.
Peter and the Starcatcher for now. Maybe next time.
It looks like I can't really see it, but it looks like the not but soft is a little shorter. Is that true?
No, I'd say the Banishad scene is shorter. I'd say it's probably half.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Oh, okay, got you. I can't listen.
That's cool. I kind of want to do that one because it's something I'm not familiar with.
So here's my one little piece of advice. You had mentioned, I think it was Macbeth.
It was Lear. So
it was Lear.
So
okay.
I read King Lear as a teen, and I, as somebody who, when I'm reading something, when I'm watching film, when I'm listening to music, like I'm always thinking about composition, right?
Yeah.
And actually, I think about composition in a way that you, behind the scenes before this, talked about thinking about acting, which was so cool for me.
Interesting.
So I think about composition Side note, I grew up in a family of therapists. You know
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Some of you might not know that. I grew up talking about dreams a lot.
Okay.
And, like, there's this one type of dream analysis, dream thinking, which is that everybody in the dream, every element in the dream is an aspect of you, the dreamer.
Okay.
And that's just like they're all tools. Like there's no one way to really analyze a dream, but it's
Yeah.
a fascinating tool, and it's something that really captured my attention when thinking about dreaming. That has translated to how I think about composition. When a composition is made, every aspect, every element of that composition is an aspect of the creator, and
Yeah.
also a reflection of you, the viewer. Right? That's what's so interesting about complex art, like multimedia art or whatever. So King Lear, I read when I was like 16 or 17, and there's this moment when he is banished and he goes out into the wilderness, and he's just with his jester, and he's like losing his shit, right?
Yeah.
And he like walks up onto a precipice, I think. Maybe he's at a cliff,
Yep.
and he just starts screaming at the heavens.
Yep.
And it's so powerful. And it's not overdone. It doesn't feel like it's like,
No.
I'm yelling at the heavens. It's this beautiful like interrelationship with nature. It's so powerful.
So what I'll say, and like why I think I'm pushing this Banished scene
Okay.
is Shakespeare, as a lot of you probably know, and as you might know, it utilizes the iambic pentameter.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beat-driven rhythm.
Right.
When Shakespeare, and this is one of the most brilliant things about Shakespeare, when he's conveying raw emotion, and when a character is breaking at the core,
Yeah.
that iambic pentameter that you're so used to hearing
Yeah.
breaks too.
Oh, that's fascinating.
So you hear these shards of thought come
Yeah.
out of nowhere.
Cool.
You're breaking beat, you're breaking rhythm,
Yeah.
and it allows an audience member, it allows a viewer to feel broken with them.
Oh, interesting.
And that's the great thing about, and I think like so many people hate on Romeo and Juliet, but it's written in a very similar way to like a King Lear monologue, in the sense that there are moments where you see these breaking characters that are, you know, at this climax of an emotional arc, and all of a sudden the way they speak, it breaks.
Yeah.
You break.
Yeah.
And this is the first time that Romeo breaks.
Okay.
So do you want to do this scene?
Yeah, I think I do.
Okay. I feel like I just talked him into it. I feel slightly
No,
bad, but like...
No, I watched you put it away, and it was like, oh, he's making this decision, but I think I've already made the decision. So yeah.
One more thought before we jump into this. I had the most fun with this scene.
Okay.
Specifically.
Cool.
The one difference is I had a whole stage to break down on.
Yeah. Moving. Actually.
I
using your
spent
body.
half of this scene on my back.
Amazing.
On the floor.
Yeah.
Crying.
Yeah.
To a ceiling. So it's like the one challenge I think for me is like being such a physical person, as well as you are too.
Yeah.
Containing that to a space where you are still but your emotions are.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a really cool challenge.
So I think with that, let me pass that.
So cold
to
read,
you.
right?
Yeah, no, you can. I mean, you can spend a couple seconds just reading through it. That
Okay.
way you have some thoughts.
And I'm just going to read this in as close to my English as I can, because I don't... Right now, anyway.
Yeah, no.
And then you can
I
give
mean,
me thoughts or whatever.
I'm gonna jump onto YouTube comments while you read through that.
I just did one read. So are you pronouncing it banished? You would pronounce it banished.
So, you can say banished.
Yeah.
Banished works better.
Yeah.
In the sense of the iambic pentameter,
Right.
and also the sense of broken rhythm.
Yeah, I'm seeing that too in the writing, because it's like there's a line before that says professed, but it's profess apostrophe D.
Yeah.
So I feel like that
Professed.
that I thought that would be professed. It's not, because it's like an apostrophe.
My friend. Oh, professed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay,
A sin of Zauber.
Right.
And my friend professed to mangle me with the word banished.
Okay, so I'm definitely feeling, like, even just paragraph to paragraph, I'm feeling something that I know very well in Shakespeare, which is, like, that intensity just growing and growing and growing until it feels like the character is just falling apart. And,
Yeah.
like, beginning of paragraph 2 is, like, this is a 2-paragraph. Beginning of paragraph 2 feels like it's, like, just coming to that climax. So I'm probably not going to read it with full intensity yet, but okay. 'Tis torture, and not mercy. Heaven is here, where Juliet lives. And every cat and dog and little mouse, every unworthy thing, live here in heaven and may not look on her, and may look on her, but Romeo may not. More validity, more honorable state, more courtship lives in carrion flies than Romeo. They may seize on the white wonder of dear Juliet's hand and steal immortal blessings from her lips, but Romeo may not. He is banished. I read that kind of weird.
No, you're good.
But Romeo may not. He is banished. Flies may do this, but I from this must fly. They are free men, but I am banished. And sayst thou yet that exile is not death? Yoda?
Sayest thou yet?
And sayest thou yet? There you go. And sayest thou yet that exile is not death? Hadst thou no poison mixed, no sharp ground knife, no sudden mean of death, though ne'er so mean, but banished to kill me? Banished, O friar, the damned use of that word in hell. Howlings attend it. How hast thou the heart, being a divine, a ghostly confessor, a sin absolver, and my friend professed to mangle with me that word banished?
It's a good fucking scene.
It's a good scene, yeah, it feels good.
And it's like it gives me chills just like being in the presence of like that type of literature, because it's like, and I think this is a note to you to think about when you're working on this is every time that Romeo says banished, it becomes increasingly harder for him.
Yeah.
That is the worst thing that he could be.
Yeah.
There is nothing worse.
Yeah.
And it's like, he says it once, he says it again, he says it after that, and it becomes stepping stones
Right.
to the next train of thought.
He's working himself up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think those are the markers emotionally that you should think about. And it's like there's also a bit of like sassiness in this monologue.
Mm-hmm. Well, hello there. I've got my monologue. Brandon is in the other room texting or something.
I'm on Twitter.
No, you're not.
Fuck you, Jake.
He was recently banned from Twitter. So, my first thing that I want to think about before I even touch this monologue again is something that Brandon likes to say a lot, which is that I'm a lot quieter than him. So I need to think about projection, which I know I can project because I sing, but I don't project that much even when I do that. So I guess what I mean is I know I have breath control. So I'm going to get into that. Boy be getting a little bit louder. I'm also thinking about writing all over this with sort of like things that play to my strong suit, which is like compositional marks almost. Even just like literally like arrows and leading directions and stuff, or like highlighting a word that I really want to say loudly or in an intense way. I think I'm going to do a bit of a read again. This is my ultimate goal here, is to memorize this so that I can actually do a read of it. 'Tis torture and not mercy. Heaven is here. I think I'll start quiet since that's what we're talking about. That's my strong suit is quiet.
Wait, can I barge in for 1 second?
Yeah.
This was my fault. That's a clapback. That first line.
Oh, really?
It's a bit of a clapback. It's like
okay, that changes it.
It's basically like. Read that to me.
'Tis torture and not mercy. Heaven is
Oh.
here, where Juliet lives.
Basically, Friar Lawrence is like, mercy is being placed. Like you should be more thankful
For being banished.
Like, and he's like, 'tis torture and not mercy.
Okay.
It's like it's such a like.
Okay.
And also, this is the first time Romeo is clapping back at Friar Lawrence.
Okay.
Who's like his metaphorical dad in a sense.
I see.
So it's like, I think in a way, like that's also showing like a new side of Romeo.
Cool.
Sorry, I'm done.
That's okay. No. Actually, so that helps a lot. So I know this is acting, and I should be an actor here and thinking about the character, but I want to think about composition, and I want to think about composition of the monologue here. So I'm gonna still take apart this monologue that way. That being said, not knowing that, I was thinking sort of the intensity arc would be something like just a steady rise from start to finish. Something like, is that seeable? Something like that, right? But it seems like it's more of the second one, where you're where it's starting with a bit of intensity, and I'm gonna kind of dip a bit, and then come back up in that second paragraph. So, 'tis torture and not mercy. Heaven is here, where Juliet lives, and every cat and dog and little mouse, every unworthy thing, live here in heaven and may look on her. But Romeo may not. More validity, more honorable state, more courtship lives in carrion flies than Romeo. They may seize on the white wonder of dear Juliet's hand and steal immortals. Right about there is where I'll dip in intensity, I think. And steal because I'm thinking about Juliet now, and I think that'll soften me. On the white wonder of Juliet's hand, and steal immortal blessings from her lips, but Romeo may not. I repeat it, but I want to repeat it differently, I think. We'll find out if this is a good decision when I do my second read to Brandon. But Romeo may not. He is banished. Flies may do this, but I from this must fly. Ah, that's such a weird line. Flies may do this, but I from this must fly. They are free men, but I am banished. And say'st thou yet, and say'st thou yet that exile is not death? And say'st thou yet that exile is not death? That's where I'll start getting loud again. So I'm just giving myself little marks. Hadst thou no poison mixed, no sharp ground knife, I'll slow down, I think. No sharp ground knife, no sudden mean of death, though ne'er so mean, but banished to kill me? Banished? O friar, the damned... I'm learning from Brandon, since I've not read this play, that the friar is like a surrogate father. So I don't really want to be like, oh, friar. I think I'll probably want to speak with some sort of affection, if not tinged with frustration or anger, but still probably some sort of affection. Let me try that second paragraph again. Oh, I got ink on the table. Oops. Got water on my face. Oh, friar. Oh, friar. Oh, shucks. That line's kind of fucking me up. I don't really know what to do with it.
Do you want help?
I guess so, yeah.
Okay.
So like I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like, don't tell me if this is right or wrong, but I'm starting with intensity, and when I hit the line Juliet here, I'm like softening, because I feel like I'm thinking about her. So I'm like softening a little, and then I'm going to pick back up because I feel like that intensity comes back in. But it's weird because the intensity picks up, like I can do it like, hadst thou no poison mixed, no sharp ground knife, blah, 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 banished. The O friar, I don't know how to read it. I'm confused with how I would read it.
Hast thou no poison mixed, no sharp ground knife, no sudden mean of death, though ne'er so mean, but banished to kill me. Banished.
Right.
Oh, fire, the damned live, or the damned use the word in. Oh, fire, the damned use the word in hell. Howlings attendant. Oh, fire, it's more of a directional.
Okay. The vocative, like just the.
It's kind of like if I like, dude, this is fucking stupid.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, oh, Friar, like this shit's ridiculous. Like,
okay.
That's the type of energy that I think it's not an endearing moment.
Right.
For him.
Okay.
It's like, dude, look at this.
Yeah.
Does that sort of make more sense?
Okay. Yeah, and even just the way that you spoke it faster than me, and I think even just that will help.
Yeah. No,
like,
I think that's the thing too, is like you can absolutely, like with this specifically, there's a lot of room for ramping it.
Yeah.
And then just slowing it down to just words kind of stumbling out of your mouth.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Sweet. Cool. Oh, Friday the damned. There, that feels better. Yeah. So it's like a passing phrase almost. Oh, Friar, the damned use that word in hell. Howlings attend it. How hast thou the heart, being a divine, a ghostly confessor, a sin absolver, and my friend professed. I'm gonna say that one slower. And my friend professed to mangle me with that word banished. That's a cool monologue. Okay. Flies may do this, but I from this must fly. I'm just making little like silly marks, like a ... to slow myself down. And a slash like you would in poetry to kind of give a phrase. More honorable state, more courtship lives in carrion flies than Romeo. Okay, now I'm gonna go into some reading to try to memorize it. I'm hearing in my voice, as somebody who's audio, I'm hearing in my voice, I'm saying like, but Romeo may not. Like Tommy Wiseau in The Room. And I want to say, not, ah. Back of my throat, deep O, A-O sound. But Romeo may not. If you want help, I think I'm good for the moment. I'm just memorizing it right now.
Yeah, no, I mean like with memorization.
Okay.
Because that's not really part of this.
Do you have a memorization technique you like?
Basically, 'tis torture and not mercy, heaven is here
Yeah.
where Juliet lives. One thought.
Right. That's kind of what I was doing.
Every cat and dog, little mouse, and every unworthy thing live here in heaven and may look on her.
Thought.
But Romeo may not.
Right.
More validity. Basically, going section by section.
That's what I was doing.
Go 2 sections, then go back to the beginning,
Yeah.
repeat it, then go to a 3rd section, go back to the beginning, repeat
Gotcha.
it.
Cool.
That's everything.
Sweet. That's
I
kind
don't
of
know
good.
if that helps at all.
No, it's exactly what I was doing. So
Okay.
no, I'm happy that I'm on the right
in
track.
other words, go fuck yourself.
No, I'm not an actor, so I'm glad that I... So, he says, go 2, 1 back, 2, da. 'Tis torture and not mercy. Heaven is here. Where Romeo... Nope. That's just him being full of himself. That's like something Kanye West would say. How fast can you memorize a line? Or a monologue?
It depends on the monologue.
Yeah? What's the fastest you've had to memorize a monologue? Or just like recite it, from memorization quickly and then forget it?
10 minutes.
Wow. That's intense.
It was awful though. Like, I barely memorized it.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, it was for, is it Lost and Youngers? I think it was Lost and Youngers. Neil Simon.
Okay. They are free men. The flies are free men. Weird metaphor. The flies are free men. They are free men, but I am banished. Let's see how far I can get. 'Tis torture and not mercy. Heaven lives here. Lives here? So I did some memorization, and I'm going to continue doing it, but I need to kind of like let it in the background for a bit. And now I'm just kind of like basking in some of the verbiage of this, because it's really beautiful. You're talking about like that the creatures that are allowed freedom may coexist in their beauty with the beauty of his loved one. They may seize on the white wonder of dear Juliet's hand, like they may take advantage of looking upon the beauty of her porcelain skin and steal a mortal blessing from her lips. I imagine what I'm gonna do is like to kind of get into character. I'm imagining like a slow motion frame of Juliet saying like I love you. That's the immortal blessing, right? Being able to look upon like nature or look upon a cat and say like you are wonderful. And he's thinking she'll never be able to do that to me. Tis torture and not mercy. Heaven is here. Right here.
Right here.
Right here. I just imagined, I don't know why I just imagined this. I just imagined you doing like reviews of Shakespearean plays on your normal YouTube channel where you started out with like, this is Romeo.
Wheels?
This. I think I'm gonna start putting breath phrases into it. Oh, I'm so close.
I believe in you.
Okay, one more read. One more stare into oblivion. Try to memorize it. And then I'll go read it to Brandon. Or speak it at Brandon. to mangle me with that word banished. All right, I think I'm good enough to try.
Okay.
I might need like a help or like a pause for a second, but I think I'm good enough to try. I've memorized the whole thing.
Do you want to sign off before?
Part 3.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So, I have a couple questions.
Mm-hmm.
I think number one is, what was more difficult for you, deconstructing the monologue or memorizing the monologue?
Deconstructing was not that hard for me.
Okay,
Memorizing was really hard.
that makes sense.
I want to turn my mouth to. I'm at the.
Did you encounter any surprises as you sort of went along?
I was surprised at how comfortable I felt in a couple different like places. I was surprised at how fast I started to memorize it.
Mm-hmm.
Because memorization like that is not something I've really ever practiced at all.
I think what's interesting is like Shakespeare can either be some of the easiest shit to memorize or some of the most difficult.
Yeah.
And I think that this has some of both. Because it's like, in that sentiment of it being, broken,
Yeah.
there's sections that are very fluid,
Yeah.
and there's sections that are just mishmashed words.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if I can like explain my thoughts if they're not just the monologue itself. I definitely feel a little brain dead.
That's fair. I mean, it's a big ass monologue to memorize in like what?
An hour.
Hour? Yeah.
That recording was an hour long. Probably won't be an hour for you. I hope.
Yeah, no.
But damn. Yeah.
So, do you want to loosely go through it with this just sort of chill in there?
Yeah. Okay.
You can turn away if you want. You can stare directly at me.
You know what I was? Oh, so you asked like if I was surprised or anything. At one point, I don't even know if we'll probably keep a section of this in. Maybe I'll overlay it right now. There were a couple times where I was memorizing it and I was just doing it from memory and I was looking straight at the camera, and I was surprised at how comfortable I felt. I know nobody's on the other side of it
Looking
right
at
now,
a
but
camera.
yeah, like as you've talked about, like how people sometimes will shut down,
Mhm.
and I never really felt that. We've talked about this off air that I don't like seeing myself in the monitor because I
Mhm.
get distracted. Like right now, the monitor's next to the camera, and
Yeah.
I can't really look at it. I have to look at the camera, and
Interesting.
I'm fine looking at the camera, but
I think I'm kind of the opposite way in that sense. Like I take, not to sound like a fucking narcissist, but like I find solace in seeing what I look like,
yeah. Well,
as opposed to staring directly into the barrel.
I don't think it's narcissistic. I think it's like control, and like you have spent your adult life as
I
like,
guess so. Yeah.
in film, so you want to have control, make sure it looks good. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's one thing that I've always struggled with in theater is like not being able to have a director's perspective.
Yeah.
In that sense, because it's like you're up there, you're giving your 100%, but meanwhile, do you know what the fuck you look like?
Would
Like
you
you could
ever-
look like a fucking dancing monkey, but like
Yeah.
you're never gonna know.
Would you ever direct in
Yeah.
theater?
Oh,
would?
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's I think my next conquest.
That's cool.
Honestly.
When do you want to do like what? Not when. What? Do you
I
want to
give
do?
myself a 3-year timeline.
What do you want to direct?
Something new.
Cool.
But I have had a lot of thought, and this is gonna sound completely disembodied in thought, but I've been thinking about this for I fuck with you not 2 years now. A production of Romeo and Juliet with Labyrinth music as both an underscore and a full-fledged play with music.
Okay.
I think that there's absolutely musical elements,
Mm.
but I've always found musicals to be a difficult thing because I find it corny at its soul.
Okay.
But I think that there's a way to lace the two together to enhance both sides.
Yeah.
And I think specifically with something like Romeo and Juliet, that's, I guess for me, like I always find it to pose such a wonderful challenge to tackle something that has been done to death
Mm-hmm.
and find a new life for it.
Yeah.
And I feel like adding a specific type of music to it that gives it a grunge and a grit makes it more real.
That's cool.
So yeah, that's my next conquest.
So you need a liturgist then. You need somebody to give you melody for you.
So he's already written all the music that's necessary.
For Romeo and Juliet?
It's all there. Every single piece that he's written to date, it works. There's songs in recent albums and there's songs in past albums that all fit perfectly together in the storyline and the arc of this play.
But a liturgist is somebody who creates the melody for text that's already existing.
Yes.
Who's
He's already written the lyrics.
why?
His music works.
He knows he's done this?
No.
What? Does he
So
You gonna hire him?
basically like the way I view this is like there's specific, and like we could talk about this for hours, but like
I'm just
there-
treading water so that I can have an
I-
extra moment to memorize this.
I think that there you know how you scrapbook
Mhm.
and you can take specific bits and pieces and interlock pieces that don't exist in a similar universe, but it all forms a coherent storyline
Yeah, sure.
or premise.
Okay.
That's how I envision incorporating Labyrinth's music into Romeo and Juliet.
Mhm.
Like there's sections during his But Soft scene, What Light Through Yonder Window Break. There's a song called Still Don't Know My Name by Labyrinth. It was written for Euphoria. And the musical breaks in melody and the way that his lyrics lace through that song, it times out perfectly with that monologue.
Oh, that's weird.
And it's beautiful.
Huh.
I've been thinking about this ad nauseum for 2 years.
That's cool.
So,
let's,
yeah, no,
let's make that
that's-
happen. That sounds good.
Not to make this a fucking ramble, but yeah, no, that's a thing. So yeah, no, you guys can help fund. That would actually be so dope to like work on an actual like project performance.
How many actors do you need for Romeo and Juliet?
It
Probably
could be
don't
done
need
with
that
15.
many. Yeah.
I think I'd want this to be done with like 20 to 25.
Need all those extra jazz hands.
Absolutely. I would also want it to be done on a turntable
Cool, yeah.
with a fuck ton of projection augmenting a sort of like a architectural like chaos where it's like you see scaffolding, like bare scaffolding peeking out of sculpture that's just deteriorating.
That's interesting.
So it's like a very archaic kind of exercise
Interesting.
in the visual of it.
That's cool. I like
You
it.
opened up a massive box for me to just...
Well, we'll finish this and then we'll
Yeah.
turn off the camera and we'll keep talking about this. Okay. All right. I'm thinking about like when you sing, I guess when you speak too, you want like a good posture.
Why don't
you
I
know?
do this?
Yeah.
I'll separate myself from here. I'm gonna stand behind here.
Okay. Then I think I'll probably, funny enough, I'm probably gonna look at you in the monitor.
It's perfectly fine.
"'Tis torture and not mercy. Heaven is here, where Juliet lived." Fuck.
Who am I talking about?
Who am I talking about?
What is the name
Where
of the
Romeo lived. Romeo lived here.
show? Romeo, you conceited fuck.
Heaven is here in my skin.
My scrotum.
In my what? Let me just look at it again. I think once this is gonna be, maybe you'll echo, say this way at you. Maybe you'll echo this, that I feel like the first lines are going to be hardest because I'm not feeling in character. But after a couple lines, I'm going to start to feel in character.
Yeah.
"'Tis torture and not mercy. Heaven is here, where Juliet lives. And every cat and dog and little mouse, every unworthy thing, lives here in heaven and may look upon her. Yeah. But Romeo may not. More validity, more honorable state, more... Courtship, yeah. More validity, more honorable state, more courtship lives in, right. More courtship lives in carrion flies than Romeo. They may seize on the white wonder of Juliet's hand and steal immortal blessing from her lips, but Romeo may not. Every time I say "but Romeo may not," I know he eventually says "but I may not," and I'm like, when does he say that? I'm gonna do it again. "'Tis torture and not mercy. Heaven is here, where Romeo..." Fuck.
You can do it in hand if you want.
Yeah.
I was thinking we could do the final conclusion anyways tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like you could do that speech in there tomorrow. Take the night with
Yeah.
it
Okay.
and be off book.
Yeah, that's cool. "'Tis torture and not mercy. Heaven is here, where Juliet lives. And every cat and dog, and little mouse, every unworthy thing, lives here in heaven. Live here in heaven and may look upon her, but Romeo may not. More validity, more validity, more honorable state, more courtship lives in carrion flies than Romeo. They may seize on the white wonder of dear Juliet's hand and steal immortal blessing from her lips, but Romeo may not. He is banished. Flies may do this, but I from this must fly. Flies may do this. Flies may do this, but I from this must fly. They are free men, but I am banished. And say'st thou yet that exile is not death? Hadst thou no poison mixed, no sharp ground knife, no sudden mean of death? No sudden mean of death, though ne'er so mean, but banished to kill me? Banished? Friar, the damned... Friar, the damned use that word in hell. Howlings attend it. How hast thou the heart, being a divine, a ghostly confessor, a sin absolver, and my friend professed, to mangle me with that word banished? Bach.
Do you want to do a take just staring at the paper?
Yeah. "'Tis torture and not mercy. Heaven is here, where Juliet lives, and every cat and dog and little mouse, every unworthy thing, live here in heaven and may look on her. But Romeo may not. More validity, more honorable state, more courtship lives in carrion flies than Romeo. They may seize on the white wonder of dear Juliet's hand and steal immortal blessings from her lips, but Romeo may not. He is banished. Flies may do this, but I from this must fly. They are free men, but I am banished. And say'st thou yet that exile is not death? Hadst thou no poison mixed, no sharp ground knife, no sudden mean of death, though ne'er so mean, but banished to kill me? Banished. Friar, the damned use that word in hell. Howlings attend it. How hast thou the heart, being a divine, a ghostly confessor, a sin absolver, and my friend professed, to mangle me with that word banished?
Okay. So, I think there's a couple things I want you to think about overnight.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to take this home. I don't want you to spend all night thinking it. But I say, like, look at it maybe one more time before you sleep. You know that feeling when you're on a roller coaster
Mm-hmm.
and you're just about to hit the drop? And it's like you feel that tightening, but it's
Yeah.
like the floor is about to drop out from under you. That is the emotional state that he is in through the duration of this.
Mm.
It's like you are at your end.
Mm.
You don't know what's next. There's no saving. And it's like, I think, like a portion of it too is like, the friar has been a teacher for so many years.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the point where you're questioning everything. You're like, you're fucking wrong.
Yeah.
This is incorrect. And it's like, you know, his frustration is still seeping through the core of this literature. Because it's like, Tybalt is a fucking prick. And he killed my friend, one of my only friends in the world.
Hmm.
And he's not banished. He can just fucking get away with it. I stand up for what's right. I do it. And now I am evil. I am
Right.
the devil.
Yeah.
Everything's turning against me, and so are you.
Yeah.
The person I trusted most, the person I befriended most, my father figure. And it's like that rage in him, I think, is really important to express, especially at that beginning. I think in terms of like a waveform, it's like you start off pretty high. It's like 'tis torture and not mercy.
Yeah.
Heaven is here where Juliet lives, and every cat and dog and little mouse and every unworthy thing live here in heaven and may look on her. But Romeo may not. More validity, more honorable state, more courtship lives in carrion flies than in Romeo.
Mm.
They may seize on the white wonder of dear Juliet's hand and steal immortal blessings from her lips, but Romeo may not. He is banished. Flies may do this, but I from this must fly. They are free men, but I am banished. And sayest thou yet that exile is not death? Hast thou no poison mixed, no sharp ground knife, no sudden mean of death, though ne'er so mean? But banished to kill me. Banished. Oh, friar, the damned use the word in hell. Howlings attend it. Hast thou no heart? Being a divine, a ghostly confessor, a sin absolver, and my friend profess. That's money right there.
Yeah.
It's like you are being a divine, a ghostly confessor, a sin absolver, and my friend professed to mangle me with that word banished. It's like you are all of these fucking wonderful things, but you are also my friend.
Yeah.
And you use the single worst word that you could possibly use right now. I mean, you've cut me at the core.
Yeah.
Using this word. And I think, like, in a sense, it starts off high, sort of going back to what I was saying before. Starts off high, and then he gets in his head. It's like he's thinking about all these things, and he's like, Jesus Christ, flies can do this,
Yeah.
but I fucking can't.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like they're free, and I'm banished.
Yeah.
for something that I feel I have the right to do. Like, I killed this man because he killed my friend.
Right.
It's like, no one's speaking up for him. And I do, and now I'm evil.
Yeah.
And then, he goes into, basically his one last saving grace here, which is Juliet. Like, that's his only hope in the world right now. That's the only thing he's thinking about right now.
Right.
And, he's making the argument, which I think is really important here, which is banishment in this world. Banishment is death.
Right.
You are just as well dead
Yeah.
being banished. I mean, it's like not to fucking drag this back to Oedipus, but it's like he fucking stabs his eyes out.
Yeah.
It's like that is a metaphor for what's happening right now.
Yeah. Right.
It's like it's just as big of an extreme. And then we get to this point, and it's just like the anger and the frustration in him is pointed towards one place and one place only, and that's the fire.
Right.
And it's like it's a feeling of sadness and betrayal. So yeah, I think there's so many fucking emotions in this one specific piece of text.
Yeah.
And it's difficult, but you're getting there. I think, honestly, if you can just hone in on those emotions and bring them up.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And make those stark contrasts. Because he's going crazy.
Right.
Like, man's going mad right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I think tomorrow, do you want to take fresh eyes at it and do it in there?
Yeah. The final read.
Swag.
Cool. Part 4?
Part 4.
Tomorrow.
Swag.
Okay. So, what is it? It's like 18 hours later.
It's like 18 hours later.
We'll just call it 18 hours later.
Part 4. Is it 4?
I think so.
Yeah, it's 4.
Part 4. We shouldn't include that.
Oh, I will.
You will?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it would just be like 4.
No, I want to specifically have your voice in this exact moment.
Okay.
Saying part 4.
Okay.
Maybe I won't use audio just to spite you.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Alright. Let me go. Don't interrupt me.
I'll try my best.
Part 4. So it's the next day. It's about 18 hours later. I didn't do as Brandon suggested. I didn't study last night. I actually went home and decided to have a headache instead. I just chilled, and I did have a headache actually, but I just chilled and kind of like regrouped quite a bit. This has been really, really interesting and difficult, and my girlfriend helped me kind of identify why. I think I'm a musician, I'm an improviser and a composer. Like, I play things and I work in spheres where improvising is the norm, and you're asked to be calm with unexpected things happening. And this feels, especially with the cramming style of things, this is so the opposite. It's like, learn this, learn it right, learn it quick, and internalize it, right? So even down to this, I think it's interesting, even down to the framing of this final shot, close up on me, and one single take. It's the opposite of what my norm is. So I definitely had some trouble just mentally preparing myself. This morning I looked at it a couple times. I read some lines, and I'm definitely swimming in the monologue, and I'm hoping that I'm swimming in the emotions as well. So my head is full, I don't have a headache, which is good, but my head is full. I'm pretty amazed that people can learn full plays really quickly. One thing I did realize in time away from all of this, in time by myself, really getting the chance to regroup, I realized a technique that I think is very in transdisciplinary, which is, and there's no one studying technique that works best for everybody, but something that I've learned works really well for me in music, that is working really well for me in memorizing this, is reciting slowly. In music, if there's a lick or a motif that's really hard, to play on piano or to sing or play on whatever instrument you're playing on, like the physicality is difficult. Your fingers get tied up, or the words get tied up. Practicing with a metronome at half speed or quarter speed or infinitely slower is really important, and then you work your way back up. And I actually did that this morning. I remembered that was a technique, and I did that this morning with this, and it seemed to work really well. I practiced the lines impossibly slow, and what it helped me do was not only memorize the line, but it let a part of my brain focus on the next line to come. And it made me realize that, what is literally painful for my brain to do is something that trained actors are doing really fast all the time, where they're saying a line and the next line is just lined up right there. It's just at the ready. So it makes sense that I wouldn't be very good at it right now, but slow and steady, peaceful and calm. These things are really important for me to practice, and they may be an important technique in other fields as well. So I'm going to get into it now.
Cut and wet.
'Tis torture and not mercy. Heaven is here, where Juliet lives. And every cat and dog and little mouse, every unworthy thing live here in heaven and may look on her. But Romeo may not. More validity, more honorable state, more courtship live in carrion flies than Romeo. They may seize on the white wonder of dear Juliet's hand and steal immortal blessing from her lips. But Romeo may not. He is banished. Flies may do this, but I from this must fly. They are free men, but I am banished. And say'st thou yet that exile is not death? Hadst thou no poison mixed, no sharp ground knife, no sudden mean of death, though ne'er so mean, but banished to kill me? Banished? Oh, friar the damned use that word in hell. Howlings attend it. How hast thou the heart, being a divine, a ghostly confessor, a sin absolver, and my friend professed, to mangle me with that word banished? Woo! That was a good take, I think. Do you want to stop and see it? Should I do another? I don't know. I felt pretty good.
Okay.
I feel like that should be the take.
Cut.